What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. We have the Gladiator up here in the shop today for a couple new upgrades on it. You know, we have done a lot of projects on the Gladiator. It's turning out really good. And I think we're gonna spice it up a little bit with some cool upgrades to do in this video. So first off, we got everything laid out here. We have some nice side lights from D&C Design to go on the Gladiator. These were previously installed, not these, but we put a set of these side lights on the race Jeep, the JK series, and they are a fantastic light. They spread it exactly where you want to see off-road, and the JL and JT series come paint matched, so it's a pretty nice upgrade. I'm excited to show you how to get those on and take a look at the light output. We also have some Apex Auto Links sway bar disconnects. These are pretty cool. They've been around for a few years, and these also were originally purchased for the JK build before we turned it into a race Jeep. So figure we're gonna throw those on the Gladiator. Even though it's a Rubicon, it doesn't necessarily need them. It's a pretty cool upgrade. And finally, we have this old JK. Man, it's almost like a round of previous JK upgrades on a Gladiator. But this was the winch that we had on the two-door Jeep before we turned into the race Jeep. And unfortunately, our worn winch over here has been dead since we picked up the CJ in North Carolina, probably, what?
Oh my God, probably a year ago.
Year or more ago. So it's finally time to pull the warrant out there. It's out of warranty and slap this Badland on there. Go. Yeah, we have a lot of projects to do, kind of getting this JT ready to go hit the trails and have fun this summer. We're gonna start out with the sway bar disconnects from Apex Design. These are the Auto Links sway bar disconnects. You know, like I mentioned, it is a Rubicon, so we don't necessarily need sway bar disconnects, but we have them, so we might as well install them. They are pretty nifty.
Yeah, you just turn this knob at the top, and then your sway bar is disconnected.
So your axle is free to articulate, and they disconnect just like that. There's no pins you gotta pull. You know, you still maintain all of your handling characteristics on the road, and they've been out for a few years and seem to operate trouble-free. Now, to install them, it's pretty easy. You can install these on a JK, a JL, or a JT. There's two different models, the 8-inch stroke, more suited for your stock height, and then the 10.5-inch stroke, suited for people with lift kits or a little more articulation in the axle and your suspension. So first thing we have to do is head over to our Jeep and pull off one of our sway bar links. I already have a set of adjustable sway bar end links. We're gonna pull them off. What we're looking for is to maintain our sway bar angle either pretty flat or a little bit pointed up when we're setting up our apex ends. It's a little bit easier if we remove the bolts on the axle end from the sway bar link. That way we can droop the whole sway bar down to get access to the nut on the top. It's pretty simple to adjust the height on these. It's actually just a set of 2 snap rings that slide into the machined rings here on the body. So there's a bunch of numbers here, various lengths. You can either set this to match your sway bar links that you just removed from your Jeep, or if you're installing a brand new lift kit, you come over to your sway bar, like I said, set it level or a little bit higher, take a measurement from the lower mount up to the upper mount, and the instructions actually tell you, and the actual sway bar itself tells you where to position these snap rings. So in my case, we're actually set at the right height right here. But what you would do is remove your lower snap ring first, set that at the designated measurement you took, and then come up, and this upper snap ring is going to install right above where this jam nut sits. So you can either use snap ring pliers or just get a flathead and move it down to that right there. You'll notice there's a little bit of slop, and that is where we just loosen our jam nut until that slop is taken out. Now what we do need to do is kind of undo that step and put a few drops of Loctite on this jam nut and torque it to 20 foot-pounds, and then we are good to install our link on the sway bar and axle. And now that we have our link set to the correct length, I like to go ahead and once again start on the upper side. Down here under this pocket, it's a lot easier to reach to, opposed to with it fully installed and running into our track bar bracket, especially since this upper one we have to hold with an Allen wrench and tighten the nut. It's just a lot easier down here. And just like that, our new sway bar disconnects are installed. So as you can tell, it's super easy to install these. Now, if we do have a set of aftermarket inner fender liners, you might have to cut out a notch up here. And I don't know if the factory ones are gonna work with it or if we're gonna have to cut those too, but we are going to do a quick flex test and see how these things operate. So once you hit the trails, to disconnect your sway bars, all you have to do is flip the lever. Easy as that. There's no pins you gotta hammer around.
Especially if it's cold outside, there's no, that's so nice.
Just like that, we have a disconnected sway bar. So Cassie's gonna hop in the Jeep and we're gonna throw her up and see how these things work. So these things look pretty cool whenever they flex out. I mean, you can see the shaft just coming out of it. We still have plenty of axle articulation. The sway bar is fully disconnected. And over on this side, it collapses, and we have plenty of room up here with the factory inner fender liner. So that is pretty neat. Now, as long as they're both within 4 inches of stroke with one another, you can go ahead and relock your sway bar, and whenever it bounces around and goes to the bottom position, they'll automatically lock themselves. So you don't have to get on flat ground. You can just turn the knobs back to a locked position and they're gonna lock in place whenever they get back level. Pretty cool.
Let's try leaving them locked and then disconnecting the electronic sway bar, the Rubicon sway bar.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, so I think they clicked back in. Yep, they are locked.
All right, there it goes. Sway bar disconnected.
So with these links connected and using the Rubicon disconnect, we still have enough misalignment in here not to worry about it. So it's pretty cool to have the option to press the button or fully disconnect our sway bar links. Let's get the Jeep back in the shop and start working on the cowl lights. I am all for adding auxiliary lighting to rigs where it matters. And this side spot is a fantastic place to put a light. So D&C Designs did a great job making these. We put a set on the JK, and out in Johnson Valley, I never really knew what I was missing out on until we turned them on, and you could just see everything projected to the side of the Jeep. It is a fantastic spot for a light.
It has to be helpful night wheeling because you can only see in front of you. And I mean, if anyone's gone night wheeling and you've looked out your window thinking you could see something, you can't. So you just stick your head right back in.
And rock lights help sometimes, but they aren't going to project to the side of the trail. So later this evening, once we get these installed, we'll show you how they work. Now, luckily, they are pretty easy to install. All we have to do is remove our factory cowl. So Cassie's going to go ahead and start pulling that off. And once we get these installed, we'll show you how to wire them up. So we do have an actual side projection light and another set of wires there, so we can incorporate this as a orange or amber backlight either for a turn signal or running lights. Now on the JK, I set them up as running lights. On this, we are going to incorporate the turn signal into them. So we have 3 wires here, a white, black, and green. Now we wire these up however we want, but white is going to be the power for our actual side light, black is our ground, and green is what's tapping in or what's powering the backlight. So whether we want to do a running light or a turn signal light is going to depend where we're going to hook that green wire up. So to tap into our turn signal wire, the easiest way to get to it is take off your inner fender down here and unplug this connector right here. So we're looking for a wire that's going to have power only when our turn signal is flashing. In our case, it's the white and green wire, and that's what we're going to tap into, but I'm going to show you how to find out real quick. We're going to go ahead and turn on our ignition, and the turn signal that we're trying to find, with it unplugged, it's not going to be flashing, but we grab our multimeter here, and we are going to put one side to ground, and we are going to prong or try to find which plug here is going to show us DC volts. You'll see it fluctuating, so that's constant 10, which is not right. This one, you can see how the multimeter is pulsing. That second one is going to be our turn signal power. So So in our case, that's the green and white. Can't really go off colors, just disconnect the plug, check for whichever one's alternating between 0 and 12 volts, and that is the wire we're gonna tap into. For the switched circuit wiring harness, you can do it however you want, but luckily we have a nice wiring harness left over from these old ORC light pods, and it's already set up for Deutsch connectors. We have a tie-in for our aux switches and our ground connection right there, which means all we have to do is add Deutsch connectors onto our D&C lights right there. So these are fantastic wiring connectors. You can get these on Amazon. They're weatherproof, super easy to unplug and plug in, make changes, troubleshoot in the future. Highly suggest checking out this kit. So we're gonna go ahead and get these plugged in and wired up. I'm typically not a huge fan of these T-tap connectors, but in a situation like this, tapping into a factory harness, low amp circuit, these will be more than enough. So yesterday, finished up wiring the D&C Cowl lights, and it's time to go ahead and check them out. We'll take a look at the turn signals first, and here in a little bit, turn the lights off in the shop. Now, one thing I didn't talk about is the color match turned out really good. We got to keep in mind, silver is pretty easy to match, but the paint is 4 years old, and they did a fantastic job. So, turn signals. I mean, it's a turn signal, but it is pretty cool having that right on there. Oh, you're doing the right side now? Let's see if the right side looks any different. Wait, now you turned that one on.
Does it work with hazards?
Yeah.
It does.
So they are pretty cool. It's unique to have that. I think the really cool thing to do is have these as running lights, like I did on the race Jeep. It just, I'm not sure about the legality of it, so it might not be a good idea on like a daily driver to have amber lights on the side the entire time, but the turn signals look really good. So I guess let's go, yeah, let's kill the lights. I would love to make a trip and go night wheeling, but that's just not in the cards for this week. So we will have to take the Jeep out here shortly and do some night wheeling. I think it's aux switch number 3.
Woo!
Yeah, so it puts out light directly where you would want to see it off to the side when you are wheeling. It is a night and day difference, literally, on how easy it is to see what's beside you. Because, I mean, rock lights hit number 4. So rock lights are helpful more for a spotter, but when you're actually the one driving, if you want to see if there's a tree or a rock right here, these lights do a fantastic job of spreading the light.
Whole wall, I mean, what? That is probably what, 12?
Oh, and they keep going. They
Yeah,
keep going. We need to take this thing night wheeling so we can actually show you what this looks like on the trails, because these illuminate a good 20, maybe 25 feet out to the side.
Well,
and they're bright. They're not too bright where they're blinding, but they just do a really good job covering everything you need to see. I mean, look at that.
So you're standing beside it. Is it really bright? Like if you're the spotter, I mean, unless you're standing like right here, it's bright. But
It's bright, but it's not bad.
You can't.
No, there's 3 LEDs in here.
It's not irritating.
So there's 1 LED, 2 LEDs, 3 LEDs, and I'm looking at them right now. I'm not blinded, but they're definitely bright enough to get the job done.
And usually when you're night wheeling, it's a big, at least when we go, it's normally a couple Jeeps. No one's getting out to spot or do anything. It's kind of, I mean, there might be a little bit of
You're just trail riding,
lights
having
are on
fun.
And you're trail riding and you're going. So these would be really nice, especially if you just want to look real quick out to the side or leave them on.
Yeah.
Just to kind of help at nighttime.
The one thing I didn't really talk about yet was the price. They are a little bit expensive. Not expensive, I mean, for what they are, not only are they nice lights, it's a really cool design, and it's also a part of the body now. They aren't overly expensive, but they're also not a super budget upgrade. The unpainted ones you can get for $390. The color matched, paint matched ones like this are $550. So it, you know, I'm not gonna say they're expensive or not because it depends on your budget and what you want out of it. But for $550, I think they look really good and they also do work extremely well. So the only thing left we have to do is swap out the bumper, not swap out the bumper, swap out the winch, and then this Jeep should be good to hit the trails here in a few weeks. So this, like I mentioned earlier, it just stopped working. So the solenoid works, the motor's just shot. So you can go ahead and test it and show them what it's doing. It just clicks. So it tells us the remote's good, the solenoid's trying to power the winch. It is just not spooling up. So unfortunately, it's just useless. And really, there's no action shots of installing the new winch, but we are swapping over to the 12,000 pound Badland winch. And this is the new ZXR winch. It's not the Apex that we have on Cassie's Jeep. I do prefer the Apex winch. It's a little bit faster, and I think those are kind of really where it's at for the Harbor Freight winches in regards to reliability. But with this bumper, it just won't fit between the grill and the edge of the bumper. So we're gonna throw this one on, plus we already have it. It's a good winch. It was on the two-door. We took it out, tested it, and really handled everything we threw at it. So I'm excited to see how it's going to hold up on the Gladiator. And it is a shame, I mean, because we weren't really overusing this warrant at all. I don't think we've done many recoveries with it at all. Maybe a handful of times.
No, I mean, between this, we probably put the same amount of wear and tear on the Warren as we have the Badlands that I have on my Jeep. And that one has not failed us yet, and this one has. So that it just
and they were installed roughly around the same time period.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things. I mean, some winches go bad. You know, I don't know, guys. It's a Warren. Warrens are great winches, but from what I've seen in the past couple of years, whether it's a Warren or a Harbor Freight Badlands winch, they're both, you know, they both work until they don't. Until they don't. Which is unfortunate, and that's where we're at. So we are simply changing out a non-working winch with a working winch. So I got a lot of work to do. I'm probably gonna go ahead and repaint this bumper, steel it gray, freshen it up a little bit. I won't bore y'all with the entire winch change. So thanks for watching. Like always, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and here shortly we'll take the Gladiator out wheeling and go have some fun. We'll see you in the next video.